What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg Wave. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you guys about an app called Play Octopus. Play Octopus is a really sick tablet-based system where this company will literally send you a tablet for free. For free, a tablet. And it has all these games on it and different things you can do. Excuse me. And you can literally give it to your passengers and they can just sit there and play tablet games the entire ride. I, as a driver, a lot of times I love talking to people. A lot of times I would love for people to just be zoned out playing video games or something in the back. Because every now and then I just get drained of talking to people. So having something like Play Octopus where they can just get super engaged and you just do your driving, listening to your music, that's a great thing. And the best part is you get paid to do it. I believe it's based off the ads they run. But a lot of people have reported that they've earned an extra $100 to $300 a month. I am not on Play Octopus yet because it's not in my market, but I'm already signed up so that I'll be one of the first ones here that gets to do it when it's out. So if you are, definitely look into it. I'm sure the California, New York, Chicago markets, all the really big killer markets already have it. So if you're in one of these bigger cities or bigger rideshare cities, definitely check it out. Look into it. It's free and it'll make you more money and it'll probably contribute to you getting higher ratings. So really not a reason to not look into it, But let's jump right into the video. So what I'm talking to you guys today about is the worst passengers you can give rides to. I'm not like one of those 20K drivers as far as rides. I have about 5,000 or 6,000 lifetime rides. I haven't checked in a while, but I've given, a good amount of rides and I've learned a lot about the types of people you give rides to. So I wanted to give experience to just kind of some of the worst rides I've given. I'm going to give you guys a few stories as well as like some types of people that the honest truth is you can't avoid. It's more of just how to tolerate or how to deal with them. So I've talked about this story once in a video before, and it was probably one of the worst rides I had ever given personally. And basically, I just picked up these two middle-aged ladies who were just kind of degrading me like the entire ride and then asking me to go above and beyond. Like I had stopped at a gas station for like 10 freaking minutes for them, like during primetime hours, bar rush hours. And they were pretty drunk, so maybe they would have been nicer during the day. But basically what happened is they asked what I did, and I told them, because at the time, this was like 2 years ago, all I was doing was pursuing acting. So it's like, oh, I'm an aspiring actor, and yeah, I just do this, and so they're asking, first they asked like what types of movies I'd been in, and I'd really only had like one credit that was like really good at the time. It was one film, and it was some work I did for the movie Baywatch, which all my scenes ended up getting cut on, but I got to work on Baywatch for a good amount of time, so I told them that story. And they're like, wow, so how much did you make from that? And I thought that was a little personal because, like, granted, they knew I wasn't like a supporting character. So they knew I didn't get like a massive check. Now, and I still got paid pretty well. I mean, I got paid way more than like a week's worth of Uber, So I said the number, which, I'm not, it's like, what are you going to do there? Say, hey, don't you think that's a little personal? I'm just always trying to keep people in good moods to try and get tips. So I don't like saying things like that or saying no, but in this scenario, I probably should have said like, hey, that's a little personal. And they're like, wow, that's not that much. How'd you live off that? And I was like, well, I was still doing Uber in the meantime. And then the one lady says, well, it sounds like you don't have a real plan. And I was like, okay, what are you, an acting mentor? Do you want to come give me a plan? Like, what's the deal? So she, so the one lady basically, then they started asking about health insurance. How do you get health insurance if you're an independent contractor? And I, basically told them some independent company I had it from at the time. I think it was actually through one of like Uber or Lyft's affiliate programs. And, so then they like went off about, I can't remember what they said about the health insurance, but went off about how it wasn't good health insurance, and like just were talking over and over again about how I was like this clueless kid out there Ubering and just wanting to be an actor. And to some degree I was pretty clueless at the time, and I didn't have a real plan, but it was just like, why would you say something like that to someone, you know? So it was one of the more like degrading rides I've ever given, where really probably the only one I've ever given, where like I really felt like they were like just being mean to be mean. Like I gave them no reason to. I was driving safe. I stopped at the gas station for them, missed the primetime surge, and Uber's yeah, well, primetime, I guess that's Lyft, and then surge Uber. I was like trying to remember the other word, and but I missed the entire 2 a.m. bar rush from Uber and Lyft because I stopped at the gas station for them. Didn't even throw me a tip. And then at the end, it was like they knew they had been total B words. And they literally were in there begging me to not give them a 1-star rating. And the one lady stayed in until she saw that I gave her a 5-star rating. And looking back, if it was me now, with the experience I have now, I would have given her a 1-star rating right in front of her face, and I would have like really laid into her, because I understand that there's so many people like you and me that are out here doing this, and I wouldn't have wanted anybody to experience a passenger like that again. But I, was a little more young and naive at the time. So that was one of the worst rides I gave. But in general, and I do have like 2 more stories for you guys, but I want to go over like the 3 main types of people, the 3 main types of bad passengers, I guess we'll say, and just some kind of general advice about how to deal with them. So the worst one is that type of person who looks down on you because you're an Uber driver. I've given a lot more rides with like similar personalities to those 2 ladies, but not quite as rude and drunk. And what I've noticed is there's just some people where they have this like mindset that like, because we're Uber drivers, we're lower class. And I mean, like, for instance, like here in Phoenix, like whenever I'm driving in the really rich areas, I a lot of times get rides like this, where it's just kind of that like pompous, snobby rich person who's like frowning on me because I never went to college. Like, I love this question. They'll go, "Oh, okay, what are you doing? Are you in school?" And I mean, I can say no, and then they're more than likely going to ask where I went to school. And so I figure I'm just going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I usually say, no, I actually never went to school. And I can see right away how they look at me differently, and they start talking differently as soon as I say that, And so there's a lot of people, even though they love our service, they're just going to be like that because they feel like you should be doing more or contributing more to society, or for some reason they feel like they need to tell you how to run your life, and they're going to like look down on it. There's a few different approaches you can play into this with this. You can treat it like it's advice, and I've done this before where I'll tell them, "Oh, wow, yeah, thank you. I really am just this young guy trying to find some guidance." And I'll try and twist it to like get them to sympathize with me a little bit. Like, yeah, I was like 22 at the time. Be like, yeah, I'm only 22 years old. I'm still trying to find my mark in the world. So thank you for the advice. And that a lot of times works to where then at the end of the ride, they kind of want to help you out, because then like, I had one ride where the guy, like, he didn't say it directly, but he was like trying to hint that I had like bad parenting growing up. And I have like incredible parents, really amazing parents. And so it was funny to me because it was like he was trying to add 2 and 2 in his head to why my life has become so cataclysmic that I'm an Uber driver. And so he was like trying to like connect these dots that weren't there. And I remember just kind of laughing because he then tipped me like $20 and left a note about, "Hey, best of luck having a good start in your life." In my head, I'm like, that's really not the case, but thanks, So you can take that route and try and like twist it so that it looks like you have common ground with the person. I don't know. It's really tough because like I always feel like I'm kind of just letting them walk all over me when I do that. And that's the one thing I really don't like, because I'm trying to like cater to them to give them good service and get good tips. But I want to defend myself too. Like, I don't want these people just treating me like scum. So what I do now, and I'm not gonna lie, I mostly do this because I'm a lot more financially secure now, but I one star those people, and I tell them before they leave that I'm one starring them. And I tell them why. And I say, hey, you know, I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, an aspiring actor. I'm working really hard for my dream. I understand our dreams look different, but like, this is one of the rudest rides I've ever given out of 5,000 lifetime rides. And I don't want to ever be paired with you again. I'm really sorry if that's offensive. And here's the reality. A lot of times they're going to give you 1 to 3 stars there too. I have a 4.96 rating, so I don't feel like too many times they actually have. But I've done that enough times that, you know, people have given me low ratings. Here and there I do get a 1-star rating, and I know that's the reason why, because I'm a good driver. I know I am. So that's the way I deal with them now. Of course, like I said, when I was a little more dependent on Uber, I was kind of doing more of the common ground path. And occasionally, if they're just kind of like half rude or something, or they say a few kind of weird things, I try to just get them to see from my eyes. And so I try to, like, you know, I share a little bit more about my story so they can see where I'm coming from and why I'm an Uber driver, because I'm a peasant to them for whatever reason. So that's going to be the first one, is the kind of too good for you pompous vibe. Like, that's honestly my least favorite ride to give. The next one is the like overly rowdy drunk or just overly rowdy crowd. I've had guys that were tripping on acid in my car before, and that was like absurd. What you're going to want to do with these crowds is, like, just try and stay hyped with them. Try and match that energy, because I had one story where these guys kept joking. I mean, they were probably the, like, 2nd or 3rd most drunk people I've ever given a ride to. And they kept joking about how they were going to give me a 1-star rating. And it was like everything I did. Like, one guy was watching my speedometer. If I was 5 miles an hour over, he was like, oh, here comes a 1-star, you know. And it was getting kind of paranoid, because I was like, well, they're drunk enough to where they might just do it to be funny and not realize how much it impacts me. So what I did is I just kept matching their energy. So then everything they did, I'd be like, uh-oh, here comes a 1-star passenger rating. You know, and then I joked back with them. And the thing that you got to remember with drunk people is you can't take anything they say or do too personally, because you got to kind of understand they're just acting crazy. And I know it's not really a good excuse, because I've been drunk in an Uber car before, and I didn't act like that. You know, I was pretty drunk too, and I had enough consciousness to know, like, I'm not going to freaking ruin this guy's night, you know. And maybe that's only because I've been a driver, but there's still going to be like that. So if you want to avoid 1-star ratings, and if you want to keep getting good tips, the best thing to do to keep them distracted is get some hype music on, and you're going to have to try and gamble on what they're going to like. But I'll give you guys some tips. Drunk girls, R. Kelly Ignition. It's going to just get them loud and dancing and jumping and, you know, less concerned about what you're doing. Older drunk crowd, Piano Man by Billy Joel. And then from there, build a playlist accordingly, like, you know, with just songs you know that they're probably going to like that are similar to those two. And then for drunk guys, just take like the most current, like, hype rap song. And I mean, it's more than likely going to keep everyone pretty happy, you know. And so I do that. A lot of times that's my go-to. But for the most part, I'm just trying to stay really hype and fun with them. And so if they're, you know, talking about a certain subject line, I'm going to really try and make jokes along that line to make them laugh and to get them less thinking about my ride and thinking more about who I am as a person and how much they enjoyed riding with me, right? So your drunks are going to be your next one. And then I would say the last one would just be kind of like the really negative, and they're like almost quiet, but when they do talk, it's really negative. These ones, you got to just kind of feel out. For the most part, I just let them stay quiet. But if they are going to keep being negative, what I usually do is I just, I sympathize with them in a really broad way. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to personally relate to them. So I say things like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Man, you really don't deserve that. Wow, why is your boss like that? You know, really generically broad things, but are going to make them feel a little valued, right? And that can kind of turn that vibe around really quick. And then what I do too with the really negative or the really sad rides is at the end of the ride, I stop and I just say, hey, you know, I don't know what's going on in your life personally besides what you told me, but I just want to say that you seem like a great person, and I really hope this season of life goes fast for you and you bounce back. And that really goes like really far. It really does. Like when I tell them that, it really goes far. They feel pretty valued from it. So it's something I recommend, but the key is say it in a genuine way. Like try and actually feel out their situation so that you feel like you mean it when you say it. Because you don't want to be that fake person who's just saying things or talking to get tips, because every passenger will smell that out. I promise you. So final story. The worst like drunk ride I gave was a girl I picked up outside a bar at like 12:30. Her friends were dragging her to the car. She was so drunk. She falls right on the floor, falls asleep, and it was all good. But like 5 minutes in, she just starts cussing me out. I have no idea why. She's saying every word in the book, everything you could think of, just cussing me out for a 30-minute ride. It was the most clueless I've ever been. Do you want to know why? Because it was the second ride I ever gave in my life. The second ride I ever gave. And the first ride was like a mile-long ride. So I was terrified. Like, so freaked out. I thought she was going to hit me. It was a really bad experience, and I hope none of you guys ever experience a ride like that. So I'm going to let you guys go on that note. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys soon.